Metro 2033 was originally released on 2011. It was acclaimed for its visual fidelity, but it didn't run very well because the DirectX 11 was new at the time and it wasn't properly optimized. However, 3 years down the line, 4A Games decides to remake the original, add some new features, reanimate the visuals, and recreate some of the levels, as well as a new stealth system that the game direly needed. The year is 2033. World War III has occurred and Moscow has been the victim of a nuclear bombardment. The city is in ruins. The few survivors managed to take refuge inside the metro that was created and with that purpose in mind, no matter how people have the tendency of ignoring that fact. In all those years, the air in the city has been contaminated, the nuclear winter has been endless, and the inhabitants of the metro survive with what they have left. Stations are like cities, a small community inside each one of them. However, big ones appear all over the place. Nazis, communists, all the idealists that got the world into its current state were once again rising, fighting each other in this futile, never-ending war of theirs. You're Artyom, a young combatant of a metro station. However, something has been rather wrong lately. The Dark Ones. You don't encounter the Dark Ones directly, but you surely can see what they are able to do. Countless soldiers lying around, going insane and killing themselves or dying from the strain. They're a threat. Hunter, a member of the Metro Rangers, an elite team that is created to encounter every kind of danger that could be lethal to the Metro survivors, goes out to find those Dark Ones. However, he never comes back. Before he went out, however, he gave you a quest. If you wasn't to return, you were to go to Polis. You were to go to give them the message that he gave you, and this is how your journey begins. A small disclaimer has to be added here. I have actually read most of the Metro books I find where I live. Those include 2033, 2034. I might be slightly biased against the story. With that said, the journey feels lonely, certainly. The Metro is not a happy place, nor is it welcoming. Many will join you on your path, but all in some way will leave you aside. However, you persevere with one way or another. The choices you make, whom to kill, whom to let live, where to act and when not to, those have an impact on RTM. The bugs you find lying around are an implication of his thoughts that make you aware of how he's affected by what he's been doing. You were incompetent indeed, but did you really need to murder your own kin? But if they were to murder you, would you pay back? Artyom isn't voice acted throughout the game. Only in the loading screens and in between sections is the only exposure you get from his voice, and well, Lord thank God for that. If you play this game with the English option as your spoken language, well, be prepared for some of the most irritating, wrong, off and annoying bloody voice acting in every single perspective one can imagine. At some point in the game, there's a lot of talking. So I actually decided that I would change my language from English to Russian to get more of the immersion that this game has to provide. I mean, I would recommend this too, but sometimes in some of the levels there are conversations that happen to be gameplay important, thus making you wanting to hear them, and they are not subtitles, so maybe English or during the gameplay heavy sessions would be preferable. However, still the voice acting isn't the strong point of the game. But how can a lonely journey be without even having anything said by the protagonist? Well, it feels disjointed. People directly ask questions, Artyom, and he just waves his head around like he's some kind of mute or something along those lines. And he's an interesting character in the books, so it's kind of sad to see it being that way. The characters that you meet are interesting. There's Bourbon, which is a guy that pretty much owns about everything to every Metro, outlaw out there. There's quite a few interesting characters that you will meet and you will get to love. The story life itself is not that much, so to speak. Since the game decides to ignore many of the details found in the books to gain atmosphere, I mean, yeah, less talking, more anxiety all around, but honestly there are a lot of things that aren't mentioned in here. You will enjoy this journey, don't take me wrong. It's not the complex writing or anything, but it's a video game, right? I mean, you can ignore all this nonsense, but the world has a lot of depth that is yet to be desired.
From even my first step into the post-apocalyptic metro of Motherland, I knew this was not going to be the typical zombie type of a shooter. And what do you know? I was right. The amount of mutant monsters, dead people, and Nazis, yeah, they're here too, all begged me to try some stealth, even though I'm more of a run and gun type of a gamer myself. And to my surprise, I was really moved by it. The aesthetic of trying to hide in the shadows in order not to get eaten alive was a thrilling experience that I have never felt before. Even if I knew I had some weapons that had supreme firepower and could potentially kill all the bad guys easily. Yet once more, the throwing knives on my belt were too anxious to stay there, so I had to use them, and I have to say, they only made my experience of Metro a hell lot greater. Though I have to admit, I also played some run and gun throughout the game myself, but did not feel as responsive as the stealth mechanics in the game. Sure, a 4-barrel shotgun is awesome and all that, but I felt like that was not the game where it should have presented itself, even though sometimes I prayed to God I had it. That being said, the game also possesses a great amount of customization to weapons you either find laying around dead corpses and whatnot, or the weapons that you can buy from a local gun store or even a passing merchant. Yeah, I saw them there too. From the 4-barrel shotgun as I mentioned before, to a pump-action molten bolt spitting spear gun. Yeah, Metro gone too far? I don't think so. All the weapons have an aesthetic of being handcrafted by the merchant. Pipes, valves, steam and grease is what a lot of weapons are actually made of. One could actually point out that they have quite a steampack effect on them, and yeah, they would be right. Have a revolver and need to make it more accurate? How about a scope and a long barrel? Did you find out that the AK needed more bullets in its magazine to blast a hole in every single mutant you see? How about you put a laser guide there to be more accurate on those holes and extend those magazines to a greater larger one? The combinations are quite a few and are only limited by the user's playstyle. Also worth mentioning is that everything is bought on military grade ammo. At the start of the game, you may find yourself in a difficult spot because the currency is scattered everywhere waiting for you to find it. But as the game progresses, you will find more and more MGA, so much that in fact you won't be able to spend it all in one place. The MGA is also usable as a type of ammunition for great guns like the AK, which you basically throw money at the enemy and you set them on fire. And you thought Terraria was being illogical with that coin gun? Psst. Another big plus for me was the rewarding leave no stone unturned system. What I mean by that is that the game actually rewards you for exploring the areas or at least going off the beaten trail by giving you some ammo, money or even keys, a collectible of some sort that is used to unlock various safes in the game, which in turn have more ammo and more money. I have sat many times wondering, I wonder if there is something interesting behind that curtain, and I dare say I have always been kindly rewarded for it. With that being said, the game gains some repetitivity by making the non-free roam world free with some boundaries. What I found troublesome in this game was that sometimes the stealth did not work as properly as I wanted to be, and other times, well, it worked too well. So well that sometimes I had to step on an enemy in order for them to see me. Other things that are worth noticing are the traps and the amount of shit that hits the fan once things get a little out of control. Traps are basically a form of human survivors to get rid of pesky mutants, bandits, and you. For some reason, I found that there are way too many and also appear when you least expect them, or when you are in need of some health boosting syringe. Well, is that not the case of a correct trap? Yes, it is. But if you play the game correctly, you will find out they are everywhere, and for no reason. Come on, who would have thought that there could actually be a trap behind that second barrel near the dumpster? And I'm not talking about a snare trap or whatever, I'm talking about a leaking gas tank that explodes, leading to near instant death. The other thing that I would like to talk about is the amount of chaos that happens when you miscalculate an action. Let's say you try to get past a Nazi soldier, and you trip over a can. Now he spotted you. Now his 99 behind the dumpster friends are looking for you, and no, reinforcements are coming. Oh wait, those Russian guys don't wanna help me, they are shooting at me. And oh boy, what may that sound be? You guessed it, mutants. Well, I take pride in my shooting skills in action situations, but that was too overwhelming for me to stand, so I had to restart the game quite some times in order to get perfectly outsmarting everything.
Metro 2033 is a game mostly about immersion. You can play this game without any UI whatsoever. It's supposed to be that way, and the small details help to make this work. For example, say you shot a bullet off your revolver, that chamber is empty. Or maybe from that machine gun. If you watch the clip, it's actually transparent and this bullet is off the chamber. There's little things, the way that medicine works, the way that you pick up ammunition, I mean everything is made to immerse you even further into the world of the Metro. Metro 2033, like we mentioned, was a looker, that's for sure. But the Redux version adds so much more to the game from the new technologies, and it gains more from that immersion and in the overall experience, without taking too much horsepower of one system. You do not need a maximum ultimate gaming PC or something along those lines to play this game on max. Yes, SSAA is certainly really hard on your system, but all of the other things that are in here are actually pretty good and well optimized. The distance is good, the foliage does not appear to have any pop-in whatsoever, and the physics are pretty solid with water and cloth and blood being rendered on real time. The music only helps, being intense when it has to, scary at other times, and it being generally really nostalgic, sad and rather feel-infusing. However, when it comes to Metro 2033, one of my biggest complaints is, well, some of the issues that the new engine has. The game is not made to be run on high, let's put that out of the way. The game has many issues when you're traversing from an area to another, because it obviously tries to render too much shit and it's unable to, because unless you can overpower this thing for like 200%, you should not run it on high. The way that it works is it will crash the game, it will crash your driver kernel, and it will not relaunch unless you reboot your computer and you knock down the graphics options on low to be able to actually run it. You know, running it with G-Sync from Nvidia and SSAA EP3 with my system, it ran on solid 60. But with the SSA off, I was able to go like something insane, like 200 frames per second or something. But there are many points in the game that for some reason it crashes at random, and not when traversing from area to area. I mean, I was just going down a bloody ladder. Many people sometimes were even actually unable to leave the second chapter, making it rather hard to complete the game because the game crashed too much, and there's something you should consider before purchasing the game. And considering, you should look up how your system does with this game, and just take a look in general, it'd be good. Also, while the menu for the options about the visuals is okay, I mean, it's not something really advanced or anything, but it has some of the basics. And I would like an anti-aliasing option, like SSAA is good, but, you know, SMAA, FXAA, well, it's not really good, it's an AA. Texture filtering, maybe. All those would be nice. Something really lacking is the full screen option, which is infuriating. And also something lacking is the FOV slider. The game has an FOV that is locked to 60. The game is unplayable. You will get headaches. You will get shot out of your peripheral vision all the bloody time. And yes, you can change it from the .ini file, and I highly suggest you do, but yeah, that's not the most brilliant thing to have happen in a PC game, considering that Metro 2033 was a PC-only game, if I recall correctly. Also, some stuttering I noticed in big distances with the SSA on, but that was only in a few areas of the game, so you might as well disregard this. Metro 2033 Redux is a game worthy of purchase. It's filled with bugs, but it has a lot of love put into it. Is the PC port great? No, it's not. But considering that the game itself is actually good, it's actually viable, it looks gorgeous if you are able to actually run it, but Metro 2033 is a game that's worthy of the money that they have been asking for it. $20 is not a crazy price, considering that it's a full price game and it has been undergone several changes with both of the engine and other things working on it. I consider the $20 price tag, or the original equivalent, pretty much legit. I think it's a game worthy of your time, and I would think that it's good, solid. It's solid.